fighting today, we funded 20.
We as a nation do not have to go into debt to have a currency.
Hello, this is Sam Chady broadcasting to you from CMAX Studios. This is We Are Change Fresno TV. Today is Wednesday, February 13th, 2013. This is an emergency broadcast from FEMA Region 9, formerly known as Fresno County. We are under foreign enemy occupation. The global central banking crime syndicate has financially conquered the United States through the fraudulent IMF corporate consolidation takeover program. Well over 90% of the American public is financially illiterate. They do not understand how money is created or how our monetary and tax system operates. Yet the majority of working people who want to get ahead in this world and build a better future for their children spend the majority of their time trying to earn a buck, understanding little to nothing about money or economies. We are economic slaves under the current debt-based monetary system. The public debt that has been created can mathematically never be repaid, or there would be no money in existence. Therefore, this debt-based fractional reserve monetary system has allowed the neo-robber baron class to steal the world through the fraud of their fiat debt-based monetary system. We will never recover from this economic depression and become a free and prosperous nation again until we become financially and economically educated and take appropriate action, because the criminally insane debt-based monetary system can only enslave us by our own consent through ignorance. During the 20th century, 160 million people were killed in war, and it was all funded by this Luciferian, satanic worshiping, all-seeing, central banking, cartel, death cult of evil. Red alert, red alert. We are under chemical, economic, psychological, biological, and genetic attack by the scientific dictatorship of technocratic social engineers like John P. Holdren, Zbigniew Brzezinski, Edward Bernays, Bertrand Russell, Aldous Huxley, and countless others. The air is being sprayed in a giant geoengineering program with heavy metals, aluminum, barium, and strontium. Fluoride, a neurotoxin proven to reduce children's IQ, and other substances are being added to the drinking water supply. The food and animals are being genetically modified. The television is a mind control program. The smart grid and smart meters are part of Agenda 21 depopulation dehumanization program to enslave humanity. Hunger Games style, if you're familiar with that. Hunger Games. During the last 20th century, government democide, which is death by government, over 260 million people were killed. We must stand up now, and your children or your children's children have no future. 6 corporations owned by this cartel control the mainstream media. We the people are levying a public indictment against these criminals in the court of public opinion. We will not submit to this evil. Moving on, in GMO news, Giant Monsanto, the seed giant Monsanto has more than $23 million from hundreds of small farmers accused of replanting the company's genetically engineered seeds. Now, another case is looming, and it could set landmark precedent for the future of seed ownership. The lawsuits concern Monsanto's patent rights as the company strives to prevent farmers from replanting crops grown from the company's seeds. It's the concept that the study published on Tuesday titled Seed Giant versus U.S. Farmers, referred to as creating a seed oligarchy. Okay, folks, this is why we got to stand up. They're going to patent seeds, patent life, and turn around and poison all the soil with the chemtrails with aluminum. And so we need to stand up to Monsanto and stand up to this evil, or they're going to control all the whole food supply on this planet, and we're going to have to go to them to buy their poison genetically modified seeds. All right? It's ridiculous. It's absurd already. Steve, what do you think about this? It's absurd.
This GMO nonsense. These GMO seeds have got to stop. I mean, come on. We got Monsanto suing farmers that have seeds growing in their fields, and they don't even know about it because the wind blows the seed over into their farms. This is ridiculous. This has got to stop. And many Californian voters went to the polls this last November, and they voiced their opinion through Prop 37. And many counties in the state of California, it was passed. It actually passed in counties in California, in San Jose County. San Jose County, it passed, and other counties. Los Angeles County, Prop 37 passed. It had the majority vote. So many people went to go and actually have a recount of Prop 37 and the votes. And so this story that I have today comes from, actually it was written by Brad Friedman, and the article is entitled, How One California County Clerk Stopped Prop 37's Oversight Recount. Check that article out. One of those citizens who was part of that group to went to get a recount, he was actually part of a longtime election integrity advocate, Tom Corbat. He spent 25 years working in local government in 3 different California counties. He as a senior budget analyst in Los Angeles County. He was a fiscal manager in Shasta County and a finance director in Riverside County. So he was very familiar with the government, and he knew what exactly needed to be done to try to get a recount. And Tom Corbat helped lead the effort over the past several months, along with other Prop 37 proponents and advocates, and in an attempt to confirm the officially reported results of the controversial initiatives. And what happened is actually in Fresno County, this group came to Fresno County, went to the county clerk, Brandy Orth, and had discussions with her in order to get this recount going of Proposition 37, and she was completely not having it. She was not making this easy, and she actually started charging them for the recount as he was just calling on the phone trying to investigate this recount. Just to, what do I need to do? Let's get the process going. And she was charging him just for her talking with Tom Corbat to get this recount going.
Absurd.
Absurd, yes, definitely. So it's amazing. And she actually also violated election codes. She violated election code. Here, let's see, California Election Code 15625. She violated that code. What she did is here in California, and if you want to get a recount on a certain contest on a ballot, you have to pay the money up front to get a recount going, just to get it started. And then if the contest ends up getting overturned, you get your money back. And so there is a fee to get a recount going. And Tom Corbat and his group already paid Orange County the fee, and they had the recount already done. And in another county, they also had a recount done. But when they got to Fresno County, Brandy Orth said the cost was going to be $18,000 up front. And they refused to even detail what the $18,000 all entailed. This is how she broke the California Election Code 15625. She put on that estimate that there would be 5 executive staff members who would be overseeing the count. Actually, it was 4. 4 executive members overseeing the recount, and she was going to charge $76.80 an hour. And California Election Code says that each member of a recount board shall receive the same compensation per day as is paid in the jurisdiction within which the recount is being conducted to members of precinct boards. So basically, they could not charge more than what a poll worker receives, and that's $150 a day. And so she was charging nearly $305 a day, violating election codes. The next code that she broke was the staffing the staffing code 20818 staffing in the California Code of Regulations, and it was saying that this is from the Secretary of State's website. Employees of the Elections Office shall not be compensated as a special recount board member for any day for which the jurisdiction otherwise compensates the employee unless the employee uses one of his or her vacation days. So she was going to compensate these board members for, as a special recount board member, and that the election, this staffing code said you cannot do that unless it's a vacation day, and none of these workers are planning to use vacation days. In all, Brandy Orth's estimated daily costs for the recount board alone was more than 200% of the costs allowed by state law. This is just crazy. So we don't have an election system. If we cannot recount the ballot and we cannot get paper ballots, we don't have an election system here in Fresno County. So if you would like, call Brandy Orth, the Fresno County county clerk. This is just ridiculous. I can't believe that this occurred. So, Sam.
It is ridiculous, and we're going to definitely follow up ourselves with Brandy Orth here in Fresno, and we're going to ask her some hard questions. Moving on, though, to some more absurdity from our government. The Department of Justice leaked a memo last week that says it's legal for them, or they want to create the rationale in their legalese language, semantically, that it's legal to kill Americans with drones, all right? And so a confidential Justice Department memo was leaked last week, and it concluded that, in their words now, this is in the Justice Department's own words, that the U.S. government can order the killing of American citizens if they are believed to be senior operational leaders of Al-Qaeda, which we all know is created by the U.S. government. It's CIA, or an associated force, even if there is no intelligence indicating they are engaged in an active plot to attack the United States. So even if they're not even mad at us, we can still kill them. American citizens is what the Justice Department's saying. This is illegal, no due process, unconstitutional, illegal, all right? Eric Holder, piece of garbage. We're calling you out again. We call you out every week, every day. You need to be under arrest, Eric Holder. You're disgusting, all right? You've already killed Anwar al-Awlaki, a supposed, he's a U.S. citizen with no trial, no charges, supposed American citizen who was involved in the 9/11 attack, which we don't even know because we can't get a true investigation of it. But Anwar al-Awlaki was a CIA operative dining at the Pentagon after 9/11. So he's all tied up with you guys. So we do not approve of Americans being killed with drones without any charges or trial being levied against them. Steve, what do you think about that? Should they have used drones to kill this guy that they're hunting down in Southern California, Dorner? How do you say his name? Dorner?
Christopher Dorner?
Dorner. Should they have used drones to kill this guy?
No.
No? Why not?
No. You can't be going around killing people with drones. And
the Department of Justice says it's okay. They say it's legal. They're making rationale for it to be legal.
Yeah, illegal is legal. That's basically what's going on. Illegal is legal, and it's ridiculous. All these we have come so far in history, past way past 1776, way past the 1800s, when constitutional law was a lot more better implemented, and we would have had trials or some kind of trial or investigation.
The government's job is to protect our liberties, nothing else, not to kill us with drones.
Exactly.
Come on! Okay, moving on to the next story. This is another sick story of how the system's screwing us. We're sick of it, all right? Okay, more U.S. troops were killed from themselves. That's right, suicide. More U.S. troops killed themselves last year than were killed in combat. And why is this? because they're all on these damn SSRI, serotonin re-up intake inhibitor drugs, the antidepressants, all right? And so it's disgusting. Our troops get all messed up, PTSD, post-traumatic stress syndrome. They're on all these drugs. They come back here, they get thrown in the gutter, all right? They don't give a damn about our troops. Right now, there's 2 veteran facilities for retired veterans sitting vacant, one in Fresno and one in Redding, all right? They've been vacant for 3 years. The state's finally getting around to staff them. This is a spit in the veterans' face, all right? They're poisoning them with DU. You don't hear that on the mainstream media reports, how they want to grandstand and stage like they did with this sniper so for some reason the sniper, what's his name, Chris Kyle's a big hero. He went and murdered over 100 people from long distance. He's following orders. It's ridiculous. This guy's no hero. He's a murderer. Anyway, the real troops, the guys in the trenches, the ones that they don't want to grandstand, they didn't treat them like crap, all right? And proof of it is they're committing suicide at record number, over 300 last year. Moving on, Steve.
So, yes, we need, our veterans are being absolutely abused by the defense, the industrial military complex. They have DU, depleted uranium. Dr. Doug Rocky, check that guy out. He went saying troops should not be using depleted uranium in their ammunition, and this stuff is being sprayed all over the place when they're shooting these big old Gatling guns and machine guns, and they're breathing in the depleted uranium, and it is destroying all of their tissues in their bodies. And then on top of it, if you have a problem because you've been killing women and children, we're going to give you an antidepressant. Oh, guess what? It's going to give you suicidal thoughts.
Doubles the suicidal thoughts.
And
More than
FDA,
doubles, according to the FDA.
According to the FDA, these antidepressants more than double the amount of suicide thoughts. We need to get out of this system. If you have anybody who's looking to get in the military, talk to them a little bit. Tell them these things that you're hearing right now. Like I said, Dr. Doug Rocky, depleted uranium expert, he wrote the Army manual on cleaning up depleted uranium. You could not use it many years in the military, but all of a sudden we're in Afghanistan and Iraq, and now we can use it. No big deal. It's ridiculous, folks. Depleted uranium, antidepressants. It's a war crime. They're destroying our troops. They're destroying our young men. And you know what? That's the whole deal. That's the whole goal, is to destroy the young men of a nation, to destroy them morally, spiritually, and physically, so that they cannot stand up against the real tyrants, against the people who are in business suits, and the heads of banks and corporations that are going around like who care nothing about the common person. Sam.
There you have it. More troops killed themselves last year than were killed by enemy combatants. And so the war on terror is a fraud, all right? 9/11 was a staged false flag attack, and on and on and on. And all these public shootings, the majority of them are staged government false flag attacks. I mean, the proof is overwhelming. The eyewitnesses, multiple eyewitnesses at almost all of these recent public shootings have said there's been more than one gunman there, all right? And all this rash of public violence is caused by these serotonin reuptake inhibitor drugs and antidepressants. And so it's disgusting. It's the Brave New World program Aldous Huxley talked about. So
let's talk about some numbers, Sam. I mean, let's talk about some numbers.
All right.
And I mean, going back to 2009, there was 239 suicides within the Army, and like you said, right now, I mean, we got what, double? Or we have
last year, as of November last year, 303.
303. And so they're outnumbering the combat deaths.
Yep.
From the war on terror.
So from the fraudulent hoax war on terror.
From the war on terror. So actually, who's the enemy here? I mean, if
The enemy is the troops.
the enemy is the troops and these antidepressant pharmaceutical drugs
they're
because they're killing our troops more than the enemy of the war on terror itself, Al-Qaeda.
They're being decommissioned just like a piece of military hardware with these drugs. And if they turn violent on the public, even more the better for the establishment, because they're going to turn around and take away our liberties, because as we know, Rahm Emanuel will never let a good crisis go to waste.
That's what he said, folks.
And so all this ties back to the evil central banking cartel that is funding all this, because none of this could happen if they were not funding it, all right? And so Steve's going to get into the LIBOR rate rigging scandal, which is the biggest financial crime in history that the mainstream media will barely even touch. And so it affects everyone who works for a living and has any kind of retirement, pension, has any financial transaction to do with interest rates. The LIBOR rigging scandal directly took money out of your pocket. You need to pay attention to this. Okay, Steve, you want to cover the LIBOR rate rigging scandal? Explain what LIBOR is.
Sure. Before I get to that, let's go to the California gun confiscation plan that's being announced.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, currently California has announced in the bill, Assembly Bill 249, that any bullet buttons that are on assault rifles that have a magazine that holds 10 bullets, that those bullet buttons are going to be illegal in the state of California on many rifles. So oh my gosh, this would cause gun confiscation, because they actually state in the bill that they would become illegal. And the the California Assembly Committee on Public Safety, they stated that if the government requires a retired police officer to relinquish an assault weapon he or she legally acquired with his or her own money, that they admit that a taking of property occurs. And, oh my gosh, in order for the taking to be valid, it must be for public use and just compensation must be paid. The United States Supreme Court has expansively defined public use so that almost any taking will meet this requirement. That is crazy, folks. The Supreme Court saying that the government can take your property as long as it's deemed for public use. And anything can be deemed public use. Oh my gosh. And that it's okay for the government to take the property if they're going to achieve a legitimate government purpose, and so long as the taking is a reasonable way to achieve this goal. Quote, the intent to stop the proliferation and use of assault weapons would appear to be a legitimate government purpose, and restrictions on who can possess those weapons would be a reasonable means of achieving this goal. So folks, the California Assembly Committee on Public Safety has deemed that California can take your weapons. They can take your weapons as long as it's going to stop violence. And so Assembly Bill 249 is going to outlaw guns in here in California. Any assault weapon that has a bullet button to have the magazine come off the gun, that the California government will come to your house and take it, and that there's actually in the bill there's no compensation plan mentioned, and that they state this in the safety committee. People, government of California, gonna take your assault weapons. What are you gonna do about it? Call your rep. Call Henry Perea. I've called him. Told him, do not vote yes on these bills. Do not vote yes on these bills. Assembly Bill 249. We got to defeat it. And on to other police state news. We got this story from Fresno Forward. FresnoForward.com. Go check it out. They got great news stories on there. This one's entitled Video Policing, and this came from CBS 47. And this talks about how there's cameras in high crime areas, and that Chief Dyer says 150 high-resolution, fully rotational video cameras have been installed along streets throughout the city of Fresno since 2007. 150 cameras, folks, all over the place.
That's
And
freedom.
that's freedom. The video monitors, they have, guys, police officers watching these things. Video monitors are typically watched 16 to 18 hours a day, but even when nobody is watching, they are still recording it. And the
They
video...
never record police violence.
Right. They never record police violence.
They always malfunction during police assaults.
They always know. The surveillance cameras do not capture audio, but cameras are very sharp, it says. So, this is unbelievable, folks. Read 1984, the book, the science fiction book, talks about these cameras all over the place, helicopters zooming around the city, looking at people in their window as they're in their living room. People, this has all been thought out before it's been rolled out. We live in a technocracy, okay? A technocracy is where people rule our society simply by their expertise in some area of knowledge. Maybe technical, maybe electronic, maybe banking. We live in a technocracy, and they have told the public and conditioned the public that these cameras are just as good as police officers. And so, as a society, this has disconnected us from one another because we're depending upon the police department to do everything for us. And they are there to carry out some justified actions. If somebody's going to come and try to...
The Supreme Court ruled that they're not
right.
They're not
Exactly.
liable to protect us.
Exactly. The police are there. They take reports, people. After a crime is committed, a murder or a robbery, they come and they take a report. And like Sam just said, the Supreme Court ruled years ago that police are not there to protect you.
They're not liable to protect you.
They're not liable there to protect you, to do something. So, we have got to get away from the surveillance state, depending on cameras to do all of this police work. And it actually costs more money because now you have to have somebody watching the camera. So you got to buy the camera, and then you have to have somebody watching the camera. And now the Merced Police Department, in this article, states that the Merced Police Department is moving to have all of its officers actually wear cameras. And Lieutenant Tom Trinidad said that it's absolutely the future of law enforcement. These cameras, these small cameras, are actually made by a company called Taser. They capture the officers' actions as well as the people that they come into contact with. So there it goes. And this, like I said about the price, the cameras that they would wear is about $1,000 each. It's not cheap. And Fresno Police has also tested out these Taser body cameras, but Chief Dyer says he's not able to buy them yet because of budget restraints. Yeah, too bad the bankers...
They haven't stolen enough money.
Yeah, the bankers haven't stolen enough money. They got to keep stealing. Between the cameras and video storage equipment, it would cost the department around $500,000 to buy this equipment. So, folks, it's just not feasible. It's not workable. These cameras are not the solution to crime. The solution is looking in the mirror and doing something about your evil, wicked self and correcting that. Don't steal. Don't lie to people. Not more police, more cameras, more police state. The change starts with you.
This 1984 police state is not going to help us, not going to keep us safe. The majority of the threat is contrived by the government. Prop 36 passed this last year. I don't know if you're familiar with that. That's the reform on 3 strikes law. So that's going to release over 5,000 violent 3-strike felons back on the street. And at the same time, they want to take away our guns and limit our right to defend ourselves. Right now, these lunatic, they're not even liberals, they're lunatic authoritarians, Democrats out of San Francisco, Jimmy Gomez, or he's actually out of Echo Park, and then Phil Ting out of San Francisco have introduced Bill 231 on Tuesday, which would make it mandatory for owners of firearms to buy liability insurance costing up to $1,000. Oh, no, I'm sorry. making it mandatory for owners of firearms to buy liability insurance. This is insane, all right? They want to disarm us while they're releasing violent felons on the street, and while the government is staging false flag attacks and is out of control like we've never seen in our lifetime. No, California lawmakers, this is not the right decision to make. Please take a look at what our Fresno County Sheriff is saying and follow the Constitution and allow the citizens to protect themselves. Moving on to the banking news, the LIBOR interest rate rigging scandal.
So, the LIBOR. Now, the LIBOR is short for the, let me get my paper here. It is short, let's see, the London Interbank Offered Rate. Okay, that's what LIBOR stands for. Okay, this is the rate between banks, what they charge themselves, you know, to what the interest rate will be between themselves.
Interbank lending rate.
Interbank lending rate. Okay, and so what happened is this is a article from Bloomberg, and California cities sue banks over LIBOR rates, law firm says. So these 8 California counties and public entities have sued the UBS, Barclays, and 20 other banks, okay? And they're suing them because what happened all the way back to 2007 is that these banks offered cities what's called a variable interest rate on their bonds, okay? Cities, they issue bonds to build projects, and people buy those bonds on the market, and the city has to pay them a payment. It's an interest rate. And so these big banks instituted what's called a variable interest rate. So what the payment will be to the bond holder will be the same, but what the payment will be to the city will be different. It will vary. If the interest rate is low, the city will receive less money from the bank. If the interest rate is higher, they will receive more money, bigger payments from the bank, okay? And what happened is when the LIBOR rate was fixed, because this has come out last year in June, I think even before that, June 2012, they found that the LIBOR rate was rigged, and that Barclays, they had to pay United States regulators $190 million. So they were fined, okay? So this has already been established. These banks have committed fraud. They have rigged the LIBOR rate, okay? And now cities, since they have lost money because when the LIBOR rate was low, it was lower than what it should have been, they received less money, less payment from the banks, okay? So that's just an understanding right there. The counties who are suing is San Diego County, counties of San Diego, San Mateo, the city of Riverside, and five other entities have joined in on a lawsuit to sue, like I said, UBS, Barclays, and 20 other banks. Okay, and these banks were, these 20 other banks, okay, we're just going to name them right here. Bank of America Corp., Bank of America N.A., Bank of Tokyo, Mitsubishi, UFJ Limited, Barclays Bank PLC, Citigroup Incorporated, Citibank N.A., one of the biggest banks in the world. Scum. Cooperative Central Raiffeisen, Rabobank, Credit Suisse Group, Deutsche Bank, HSBC Holdings, HSBC Bank, JP Morgan Chase & Company, JP Morgan Chase Bank, Lloyds Banking Group, HBOS, Royal Bank of Canada, the Norwich-Chukin Bank, the Royal Bank of Scotland Group, PLC, UBS AG, and there's 2 other ones. So, you know, all the banks are in on it, and all the central banks knew about it. This already came out.
Sounds like a conspiracy to me.
This is connected. All the central banks and the banks knew what was going on. So the LIBOR, they were inflating and deflating the LIBOR rates so that they could profit from these trades and pick up more money. Okay? Estimates to the survey to artificially suppress LIBOR, increasing their own profits and creating the illusion of financial strength by underreporting the interest rates that they were being charged to borrow money. Okay? That's it. That's it. Simply, that's it. And Barclays was fined $450 million in June 2012 by U.S. and U.K. regulators for submitting false answers to the journalists. And regulators investigating LIBOR manipulation have sought information from more than a dozen banks that set rates in the U.S., Europe, and Japan. So this is, like I said, worldwide. That's a quote from the Bloomberg article. Okay? And you know, these banks, they launder the drugs. Okay? That's why we have gangs on the street shooting each other up. All these drugs in the United States. And it came out last year that HSBC had to pay $1.9 billion to U.S. regulators for money laundering. I mean, come on, folks. Come on. These people need to go to jail, not just be fined by regulators. Why is the United States government
time
just regulating? The Mexican drug cartels control most of the supply of cocaine and crystal meth in the U.S. market.
They fund it.
In export business, that's $40 billion a year. And the U.S. authorities, guess how much they seize? Barely $16 million in cartel assets. So, and in another bank, Wells Fargo, they were fined $160 million in 2010 for drug laundering. There goes, Warren Buffett. He's a big
major shareholder.
Major shareholder of
Wells
Wells Fargo, but he's like
he's an innocent old man with an ice cream cone.
He's an innocent old man with an ice cream cone, Warren Buffett. Okay? And the fine that they got in 2010, it was less than 2% of the bank's $12 billion profit for 2009. And a federal prosecutor actually said, quote, that Wachovia, which was a subsidiary of Wells Fargo, they were blatantly disregard for our banking laws and gave international cocaine cartels a virtual carte blanche to finance their operations, okay? So there it is. You got a federal prosecutor saying, these banks, they don't care about the banking laws, but yet we're going to fine them we're just going to fine them. We ain't going to put anybody in jail. We're just going to fine them, and that's it. We'll let it go. They're laundering drugs. They're putting them on the streets, causing our police departments to put cameras. How many, Sam? Over 100?
Over 100.
Over 100 cameras in your city. Okay, the police state is being set up on purpose, and the banks are at the heart of the matter. The Federal Reserve, it's a private banking corporation, and the shareholders are major banks. Citibank, Wells Fargo, the ones that launder the drugs. Okay, all of them. They're major shareholders in the banking system. And the banking system also makes that military-industrial complex and that pharmaceutical complex run. So Sam, I heard you have some news on the Federal Reserve?
I have news on the Federal Reserve, but first I wanted to be part of the See Something, Say Something campaign that the Department of Homeland Security says good Americans should be part of. So let me report to you that the biggest drug dealer in Fresno is right off of 41 and Fryan Avenue. It's called Wells Fargo Bank, okay? They have a giant building over there. Just go right in there and start arresting people for money laundering, okay? Because it's on record that they're drug money laundering criminals, and they're the biggest drug dealers in town. All right. So I'm glad I got that off my chest. That was a lot of pressure on me to report that. But it's mainstream news. The war on drugs is a hoax. It's a big joke on us. All right. So wake up to that fact. Moving on, Senator Rand Paul is still in the Senate, and he's a liberty-minded senator, and following his father's footsteps, he's introduced another Audit the Fed bill. It's in the U.S. Senate. Its name is S-209. So, you know, if we don't stop the Fed and get a look at the books and some transparency, they are going to crash the dollar and send us into hyperinflation and turn us into the apocalypse that they've been predictively programming us through the media over the last, say, 10, 15, 20 years. So we need to call our representatives again one more time, stay on them. Tell your Senate to get behind S-209, your senator, all right? Because that's going to audit the Fed, that's going to bring transparency and bring these criminals to justice. So, Steve, are we going to ever get an audit of the Federal Reserve?
Yeah, well, what we're trying to audit is the discount window. Because all the Federal Reserve does right now is they issue reports on their meetings that they have, okay? And they say that it's the Open Market Committee meetings. And all we get is a report. That's all we get. They talk about what they're going to do with our currency and the interest rates and what they should do because they're the technocrats, okay? They're the technocrats. Us people, we can't really decide what we're going to do, even though the Constitution, the United States Constitution, in Article Section 1, Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, says that Congress shall issue the currency. The government shall issue the currency, and we don't have to have debt, okay? But now we have the Federal Reserve System, which is a private central bank that doesn't even let the people decide what they're going to do with their own money, okay? So we don't know what they do. We just see reports of the Open Market Committee, and just to illustrate how much is covered up is in 2008 when the financial collapse was taking place, the Federal Reserve issued loans to Deutsche Bank, to banks over in other countries. Foreign banks, Deutsche Bank being one major recipient, and we had no idea. And the only reason that we do know now is because of a partial audit of the Fed that we got in, I believe it was 2009. And so we got some of this information through a partial audit just to see what happened for a brief period of time.
Of the bailout.
That was just an audit of the bailout.
TARP. That was just the audit of TARP.
Just the audit of the TARP bailout. And we found they loaned billions of dollars that we are on the hook for with debt, mind you, and billions to foreign banks, okay? So we need to find out what the discount window, what's happening, what the Federal Reserve is doing in their discount window and everything that they're doing, because right now we don't know what they're doing. We don't have a total picture of what's going on. All we know right now is that they're practicing quantitative easing, which is they're buying our own bonds because people around the world, countries around the world are stopping buying these treasury bonds because they see the writing on the wall that you have a fiat currency that is right now backed up sort of by oil, but
government-sponsored terrorism, that's the only thing that backs the dollar.
Yeah, that's the only thing that backs a dollar is government-sponsored terrorism, a gun to another person's head, okay? And countries around the world are not purchasing the treasury bonds in the amounts that they used to, China, Brazil, other nations, okay? So the Federal Reserve, we need to go back to a system, a monetary system that's constitutional, that says the Congress, okay, the people shall issue the currency, and we can do it without debt, without being charged for it. What an amazing concept. Isn't that an amazing concept, Sam?
It's an amazing concept, without debt. We can get rid of the criminals. All we have to do is audit them, build the case, get the evidence, charge them, and then take them to trial publicly, okay? Due process, we like to follow the rule of law, not like the criminals that are in charge right now, all right? So, they don't want us to audit it because they know they're criminals and they know they will be going to prison for the rest of their lives when we finally get our audit and restore liberty to the United States. Moving on to the California collapse, all right? California, another physically irresponsible state, right? caused by the Fed, but this is going back more locally state. This just reported on KMJ from Fresno Forward this week. California public payroll overhaul halted. Okay, so what this is one of the state's largest contractors been fired, and over tens of millions of dollars of taxpayer money have been wasted. Okay, and so the state thus far has spent $254 million and another 50,000 or what is that?
50 million.
Oh, so many zeros. It's hard to even see. Another 50 million to go on SAP Public Services. The company was brought in after the previous contractor fell through 3 years ago. Officials say that software was tested on 1,300 of the 240,000 employees it was to serve. However, it was unstable and contained numerous glitches. Okay, so obviously this is a contract gone bad that the contractor is still going to make good on his claim for the money, even though he didn't produce a product. So there you go, more taxpayer money down the toilet, but that we're used to that in this state. So moving on with the financial crisis in California, Steve?
Right, the California crisis. The pension costs. This is an article also from FresnoForward.com. They pulled it from the Fresno Bee. Pension costs continue to squeeze Fresno County. Fresno County's pension costs are expected to grow in the coming year, again continuing to tie up more than one of every $4 at the county's disposal. Okay, now this has everything to do with a LIBOR rate scandal, because all of that money that's in those pension funds and that's making money off of derivatives, okay, which is, the derivatives are a financial instrument that was created by the banks a long time ago. Now they're unregulated. The banks can sell as many as they want. They never were regulated. So they were never regulated, and there's over $900 trillion of derivatives out in the world, okay? In the U.S.
More derivative debt than there is wealth in the world, mathematically.
There is now more derivative debt in the world than there's even money in the world. So this is why bailouts will never work, especially when it's debt-based money. Bailout, we can't bail out no solution is to bail out the companies. Like we have back here, our background, corporate crime, okay, socialized debt, okay? Socialized debt, hold on, it's right there. Socialized debt, okay? They pass the losses on to the consumer. They have trillions of dollars in derivatives, and they make the consumer pay for all their losses, okay? And the pension funds are tied to that, okay? That's why the costs are going up, because it's just so expensive. They've lost money.
It's austerity.
They've lost money, and now they've lost money in these pension funds that are, I'm sure billions of dollars. And let's see, the quote says, the increase in costs detailed in a retirement report released last week has put county administrators on damage control, trying to absorb the hit in next year's budget while sparing already underfunded county programs, from unmaintained parks to short-staffed libraries to scale back sheriff's office.
Take our guns and scale back all the police and sheriffs. Take all our guns and scale back everything. We'll feel safe. And then also release 3-strike violent felons back on the street. Yeah, sounds like a great plan for public safety, California. Huh? That's reality, folks. Wake the hell up.
That's it. So, it also says that the new retirement report projects that the county will have to contribute about $7 million more during the 2013-14 fiscal year over the current year to stay on top of its pension obligations, a total of $176 million. That's up 50% over 5 years, including retirement debt. About $212 million of the county's roughly $1.8 billion budget next fiscal year will go toward pensions. So it's nearly less than a quarter, about 12%, somewhere around there. But they've lost massive money because of the derivatives, because of the LIBOR rate scandal, because of the bailouts. I mean, they instituted in crime. Okay, they instituted fraud. They committed the fraud. They had mortgage-backed securities rated as AAA when they were crap. When people in the houses were obviously not making as much money as the person who signed the document and signed them up for the loan said. So it was fraud all the way around. Okay, the federal government actually did an investigation. Our government did an investigation and actually found something that, oh, guess what? The banks were, hey, they were the reason for the collapse, not the people who were just trying to get the mortgages, okay? So all this media telling you that it's their fault, they got a house and they should pay everything back.
Public's fault.
No, it's the bank's fault. They engaged in the fraud. They had cooked books. They had fraudulently rated these mortgage-backed securities, okay? And now the pension funds are suffering. So people, you got to go to the Fresno City Council Hall. I would go to the Fresno City Hall, and I would go to the Fresno City Hall and say, hey, look, we need to get some money back because we've been stolen from, completely scammed, and the LIBOR rate. Hey, let's sue these guys. Let's get some money back into Fresno.
Public offer, yeah.
Let's get some money back. Let's put these banks on notice, and hey, call ABC 30, call CBS, and say, hey, why aren't you guys reporting this? Hey, what's happening? California cities are suing these big banks and counties, and you're not saying anything? It's not top story every single day? What's going on here? And like Sam said earlier in the broadcast, in the intro, the corporations, 6 corporations own the media, okay? That's it. CBS, Comcast, or no, hold on. Is it CBS?
CBS.
Comcast, which owns NBC, Fox, News Corp. And so, yeah, 6 corporations, guys. 6 corporations. That's why you're not hearing about it. Because the 6 corporations...
The banks are the same ones that own those corporations.
The banks, the big banks, UBS, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, JP Morgan, they're all in bed. They're all in bed with each other. And so...
They're the same cartel.
They're the same cartel. They're same families, everything. Same families. They're all in the same family. It's amazing. It is amazing. Sam, any comments?
Yeah, so we need the city of Fresno to step up and go ahead and get in on this lawsuit. Step up and get in on this lawsuit with these other cities and get some money back from the banks from this LIBOR rigging scandal, because they've stolen from the public purse, and like we went over, this pensions are just going to continue to increase, and that's going to cause public services to decrease, and the austerity to ratchet up and put us in more debt. And we're just going to keep digging the hole deeper and deeper and deeper until we call the banks out for the criminals they are. All right? And so that's what we're doing here, asking the city of Fresno to take a look at the lawsuits that these other cities, who was it, Steve? San Diego, San Diego, San Jose. There's a couple of major cities that are filing suit against these banks.
Okay, so the complaints came from the city of Riverside and the Riverside Public Financing Authority, the county of San Diego, San Mateo County, the city of Richmond and East Bay Municipal Utility District, and that's the East Bay being out of Oakland. So yeah, San Diego County, that's huge. That's huge. Huge counties, a lot of people. And so Fresno County, go to your Fresno County Board of Supervisors if you have time and bring this up to them and say, hey, look, because this law firm has contacted the Fresno County, you can be sure of that. This law firm has contacted this county. Let me see, the law firm, I believe, okay. Law firm has contacted Fresno County, so we need to put Fresno County on notice, and we need to let them know about this. Because
county or city?
Fresno County, Fresno City,
all
both of them.
Municipalities
need to know about this, and a lot of them don't know. They just go home in their cars and
watch TV,
watch TV and watch ABC 30 and all these news channels that don't deliver any kind of news whatsoever. So yeah, we need to let them know about it, because we're the solution. Us just saying something and talking about this is the solution. Creating public awareness about this socialized debt, okay? So we definitely need to let them know about this.
Okay, we're going to follow up with the city about that, and we're going to follow up with this county clerk about her election fraud that she did for sure. And I just want to close out by asking you to ask yourself a question. Are you going to turn in your firearms to this government that is openly a criminal cartel operating with no public interest at heart? I mean, it's disgusting. The LA cops, one cop goes bad, and we don't know if that's a true story, this, that, or the other, but we know they hunted him down and were shooting innocent people, women in the wrong color truck. It was the wrong make, model, and color of a truck, and they shot up some women in the hunt for this guy. I mean, it's just ridiculous. The state is out of control. They need to be put back in check. The only way to do it is for the taxpayers, the citizens, to stand up and tell them, hey, government, remember your job. It is to protect our liberties, nothing else, all right? And so that's your job, government, and you work for us, the taxpayers. So get it straight. All right, I'm signing out here. Steve's going to sign out. Peace, love, and liberty, and long live America. God bless you all. Good night.
And I'm Steve from We Are Change Fresno TV, and may you look in the mirror, look at yourself in the mirror, because that's where the solution starts, okay? All of this starts to turn around when you look at yourself in the mirror and start changing things about yourself and how we talk with one another and how we talk with other people and the way that we communicate and are in society. Okay, the solution is not bigger government, because as we've seen, they cannot implement the solutions correctly, even if it's a great solution. However, we can control our money supply. We can control our money supply. That is one thing we can do, and it's instituted by our Constitution to control the money supply. That's the biggest thing.
Power of the public purse. Power
of the purse. If we don't have that, we really don't have a nation. And we are not the United States. We're a territory of the Federal Reserve. It's simple as that.
Colony.
So we need to go back to honest dealings with one another and to be honest with each other and other people in society. We need to be the change that we want to see going on in the world. So I'm Steve. We're signing out, and make the change. Make the change.
Don't let them win you over, that's what they're hoping for. They want to shutter your mind and shackle it to the floor. It's not hard to figure out the lies you're being told. There is a playbook, an agenda, a blueprint, a goal. So open your eyes wide enough to see you're the target they are aiming for. You're the enemy. Now in order to defeat them and take back what is yours, you must expose what is evident. What is more, humanity is rising and the truth is coming forth. Whoa!